Thanks for your time this morning. I just want to start with Kerry Chant. Did she want to wait for 85% double dose coverage?
No, she did not. The advice we received from Health is obviously a cautious reopening. Health signed off on the roadmap, but obviously from the government's perspective, particularly on the health side of things, they want to see us get to that 85% double dose as quickly as possible and that we don't lose momentum as the opening up begins. And I actually think, given that we're requiring people right across our state to receive 2 doses of the vaccine, that actually we will get that momentum, and it's a great incentive for people right across our state as we begin the reopening.
So if not 85%, what did she want?
She's very happy with at 70% to follow the national roadmap, and obviously we'll have further restrictions released at the 80% mark. So I think the view from the health team has certainly been, let's pursue the roadmap. Let's open up. It's obviously a dual crisis, a health crisis and an economic crisis. But let's not lose sight as we do open up. That will bring with it health challenges along the way. And importantly, we need to make sure that we don't lose momentum and we get to that target of 85% double dose.
So you don't believe that Kerry Chant was being too cautious?
I believe that we've always had the balance right in New South Wales, and it's very important that the health team provides strong advice in relation to the health issues across our state. But importantly as well, we need to make sure that businesses and workers are also given support. And I think the roadmap that we announced yesterday strikes that balance. And importantly, it sets our state with hope that there's light at the end of the tunnel, and I think it's given a lot of confidence to the business community in New South Wales.
I will ask you about that support in a second, but I still want to ask about the health advice. So there was no difference between what you or the Premier wanted as opposed to what the Chief Health Officer wanted?
The roadmap that we put out yesterday was signed off by New South Wales Health. There are always discussions around the edges and the margins in relation to restrictions. Not that I'm aware of, no. And the figure that's been pushed around 85%, was completely irrelevant to the date of reopening. The 85% was a target that Health want to reach, and are aware of the fact that as we open up, that they don't want to see New South Wales lose momentum in reaching that target.
So that is what she wanted, 85%.
Yes, but that's disconnected, Peter, to whether or not we should have a roadmap at 70%. We know that, and we've set out in terms of the national plan, that once we hit double dose at 70%, our roadmap we released yesterday will come into place, and we will ease more restrictions at 80%. And at 85% as well. That's what we've signed up to, and that has the support of the health team in New South Wales.
So why not wait a couple more weeks? Why not allow it to get to a higher level?
Well, people have got to learn to live alongside the virus, and at 70%, we have signed up, like other states, to the national plan, and we're very committed to that. And the restrictions that the roadmap we announced yesterday has a number of restrictions in place. It's not a complete opening up of the state. It's the beginning, and as we get to 80%, we'll open up further. And I think if you look at yesterday's announcement, from my view, and I think from the entire government's perspective, it certainly strikes the right balance. It ensures that we keep people safe, but at the same time, we get people back to work so they can continue to provide for their families.
But is there a danger, though, that we open up 70% as we're proceeding to do, cases increase, and then we've got to shut down again? I mean, that's an option, right?
Well, Pete, we certainly don't want to see that. But ultimately, we've got to learn to live alongside. Well, Pete, when it comes to opening up, there is no doubt that the virus is not going away. There will be different derivations of it in the future. The best thing we can do is get the majority of our population vaccinated. We've done that in droves here in New South Wales. It's been incredibly pleasing to see so many people come out and get vaccinated, and that's been the key to our freedom. And when we get to 70% and 80%, there are always going to be health challenges. And even, Pete, at 85%, if 15% of the population are unvaccinated, that still is going to cause challenges for us. But we have confidence here in our state that our health system is strong and that we're able to protect people. We've done that over the last 18 months and we'll do it as we move forward.
What is the criteria for shutdowns? Because this is important for business and business confidence.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the National Plan, the Doherty report, what it does say as we move forward, even 70%, 80% and beyond of those vaccination rates, that if there are significant spikes in areas, that we should have targeted restrictions in place. And they will be measured to ensure that the health issues are well looked after. Now,
what's
that will obviously depend. Well, that really depends on the health advice at the time, Pete. And at the moment, if you look at across our state, there are certain restrictions in place in parts of Sydney that don't exist in other areas and in regional New South Wales. But look, there will always be challenges that come our way, and we'll deal with them when those issues arise. What's most important is that we give businesses as much confidence as possible. And I know there were concerns yesterday about a date not being set, but we can't let perfection be the enemy of the good here. What we need is to provide a roadmap, a direction in terms of when businesses will open up. And I think yesterday's announcement struck the right balance.
How come you don't have a target, though, for business in metropolitan Sydney, but you do have a target for the regional areas of just one case before you shut down?
Well, obviously there are more concerns in metropolitan Sydney than there are in regional New South Wales, just based on the demographics and the populations, Pete. So obviously Sydney is a denser area, so there are naturally more concerns that would allow for which and Pete, over the last 18 months, we've always looked at regional New South Wales through a different lens, given the very nature of the remoteness of many of the communities in regional New South Wales. But ultimately, we look at these things on a case-by-case basis. And look, I'm not going to hide away from the fact there will be challenges down the track. And when they occur, we will have a proportionate and appropriate response, mainly to keep people safe, but ultimately to ensure that we open up and provide for a strong economy.
OK, we have spoken in the past about ongoing support for business because it's not just like a tap. We all know this. Business is not just going to straight away return to the business that it had before. So what ongoing support measures will be in place?
Well, we still obviously have the JobSaver joint arrangement with the federal government, and I'm in discussions with the Federal Treasurer at the moment in terms of the continuation of that support. As you quite rightly say, as we ease restrictions, certain businesses will be back on top straight away, but others in some industries, particularly tourism and accommodation, will still be doing it incredibly tough. So what we want to make sure, and we've said this from the outset, that will put our people and businesses and families before the budget. So I'm obviously looking at that now, and as the roadmap comes into place, that there is still support there for businesses. And we're also working here in New South Wales on a recovery plan, which we will announce in early October, and that will look at further stimulus programs to help drive what I believe will be a very strong recovery here in New South Wales. Just like we saw last year, we want to rebound very strongly, and I believe that's exactly what's going to happen.